So, having a midday downtime. This is where I've set up my altar, like my vision board. And these are some prints I purchased from Megan Boyd, who had a brief, exhibition in Santa Fe. So she's there. And then I've got my purple fuzzy rug. And as I'm sitting here, I'm reminded of pleasure, and that I had sort of globbed all pleasure having to be like sexual pleasure, and how through my sexual somatic coach, Myola Woods, through my teacher training with John Wineland and Kendra Kunov, and deepening even more with this upcoming interview you're going to watch, a podcast with Dan DeSena, the pleasure that is in the body, not fantasy of the mind, not, I guess for gentlemen, more gentlemen than women, but the images in porn, or being like something that you remember, but like the present moment of body sensation, breath, movement, awareness of our bodies. And as he was speaking, part of me was probably shy, but part of me was like, just make this all about him. Don't make it all about you, Alana. But as he was expressing how he shifted his autonomic nervous system over time into self-pleasuring without mind, without fantasy, with breath and movement, and how it takes a while to restructure your autonomic nervous system to have pleasure without even touch. And that's been a challenge for me, very much when I was out of my body, dissociated. I was in my mind, that's where I lived. And so my self-pleasuring was very much fantasy-based, memory-based, and I would say topical, like just clitoral stimulation, not anything deeper with vaginal or cervical or all the different kinds of orgasms. I remember when my coach, Myola, gave me her first questionnaire, I think she listed like 14 kinds of orgasm. I remember it distinctly because I was in Estonia at Mind Valley at dinner with these 3 other women I had met. And so I asked them all about these 14 kinds of orgasms because I was like, clitoral? Maybe full body a couple times when I was just dancing in bliss. Heart, maybe. But so we had a great conversation. It sparked a great conversation, and also sparked a great deal of humility. Like, wow, there's a lot more pleasure being alive in my body than I have experienced thus far. And so as you go into this podcast with our amazing Dan, soften the front of your body, quiet your mind to the best of your ability, open your heart, feel the earth beneath you, and really listen, not just to his words, but the energy, hi Muffin, that it elicited. There's my girl. Yeah. There was a dead mouse she left as a treat under my desk this morning. Yeah, and you've had a big sleep in this morning. I think you were out hunting a lot. Oh, I love you, Muffin. Yeah, she's just the best. She's just the best. Oh, 20 years, girl. We've got some history. So yeah, listen to this interview with your body, see what emotions come up, see if you check out, see if you're like, oh my God, that's me. See if you're inspired. See if a new possibility opens, because that's our intention. We love you. Here is Dan.
Welcome to Intimate Conversations, Season 13, Heart Broken Open, where intimacy is an inside job. Hello, delicious people, and welcome to another episode of Intimate Conversations, Season 13, Heart Broken Open. And I'm here with, I'm going to call him a brother. And I met Dan, I guess about 1.5 years ago in the John Wineland coaching community, which is a larger community, and we get broken up into smaller mentor groups, and he was our head mentor. And instantly I felt so safe and loved. So let me give the official bio of Dan DeSena, and then even more of a deeper dive into our heart connection and the incredible work that he does here on the planet. So, a respected guide in transformational work, Dan brings a grounded approach to personal mastery that resonates with men seeking authentic growth. And drawing from his rich background as a psychotherapist, musician, I didn't know that, teacher, speaker, group leader, and healer, he craves brave spaces where men discover deeper confidence, purpose, and presence. And his work transcends surface level development, addressing the foundational elements of masculine identity while challenging outdated notions that no longer serve us. With a passionate commitment to transforming how men think about sexuality, confidence, masculinity, success, and happiness, he offers a refreshing, honest perspective on what true fulfillment really looks like. And through practical wisdom and transformative practices, he guides men to embrace emotional intelligence alongside of their inner strength. And known for his direct communication style, his compassionate approach, he meets men exactly where they are, no judgment, no shame tactics, and he provides honest conversations with real tools for change. And his philosophy centers on the belief that true confidence stems from self-mastery and emotional resilience. And participants in his programs consistently report profound shifts in their relationships, professional lives, and self-understanding. You can find out more at his website, www.Desena.com. And so back to the beginning that I was saying, Dan, when we first came together in our like mini group, you just made me feel so seen and so safe and so heard. And I remember one time there, I should just probably let you say hi. I'm just going to keep talking.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Oh, it's my honor.
Of course, I love talking to you. I love we had a dyad in our first week of training together, and I got to know you, and it's just been all beautiful from there on. I just am so grateful to have you in my life.
Oh, thank you. That's the next thing I was going to say, but I'm glad you said it. When I reached out to the group and I said, hey, who would like to do a dyad? You were the only one that said, pick me. And I thought, wow, he's brave. He wants to connect heart to heart. And I felt like I mattered. So thank you so, so much. So yeah, how did you, I don't even know, how did you find John and Kendra to do this work? I've never asked you that.
I found John, it was the tail end of a very powerful, meaningful, but failing relationship about 2.5 years ago. I actually had known about John for many years.
Yeah.
But like a lot of men, we resist doing men's work because it's confrontational.
Yeah.
And I had read David Data's Way of the Superior Man, and my partner had actually requested, if not demanded, that I read it. And I really thank her for that. So she led me to John. She led me to this whole world of sacred sexuality and men's work, and this particular path of growth, which was really the thing that I needed at the time. I've been a psychotherapist, and I've been in my own therapy and done tons of different types of healing work with medicine and everything.
Yeah.
But it was this particular work that I needed, that I didn't even know it existed. I didn't know what I was missing. And so it was a relationship that led to an insight that this is what I needed.
I love that. I don't think our soul makes mistakes. I think it leads us to whoever we need to be with to face those blind spots or those unintegrated wounds. Yeah. I want to go deeper about, so you were a psychotherapist for years. We also have another friend in common, Matt. Hi, Matt, if you're watching this.
Love you,
So we love you, Matt, who's also been on this podcast. So what was it that has shifted, and tell me if this is accurate, that has honed in and niched your psychotherapy into the sexuality and the freedom that men can have with their sacred sexuality? Did that happen just since working with John, or was that sort of brewing all along?
Yeah, I mean, I had been thinking about moving into coaching just to create more flexibility in the type of work I do, having more flexibility in terms of where I am. I had been on that path already. And then when I found John, it was just the right fit to get me like really catapulted into that world. And so this again, I didn't know what I was missing. So once I started working with John, I was just like, wow, so it was brewing. And then once the actual work started, that's when I realized this is it. This is what I need.
Mm,
And then it's been really powerful 2.5 years of going deep with him into all of his programs, pretty much,
mm.
all the way in.
So what have you take us on your journey then, and then the journey you take men on around you didn't know what you were missing. How were you raised around sexuality, your beliefs, what this relationship with yourself sexually before bringing it to a partner, like not just having it be all about her. Like take us on a whole journey.
Yeah, that's such an important piece of this. So, um, my journey was growing up in a very religious family with a lot of restrictions around sexuality, a lot of moralism, a lot of not really criticism, but unspoken rigidity and not really talking about it at all.
Yeah.
And when it was talked about, or whenever it came up, it always seemed like there was sort of like a negative sort of inflection to it. And not throwing my family under the bus. I mean, ultimately, I've gotten so much out of who they are, but the sexuality piece was just pretty much missing.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of shame about it. And I had a mother who, when we would talk about it, there's a lot of fear that was sort of built into the discussions, a
Mm.
lot of what I would consider a lot of protection around me becoming a toxic masculine man, growing up into a person that could harm women. And my mother did have her own history of abuse and within the family and sexual abuse. And I think that really impacted her. And I think she basically was really, at least unconsciously, trying to make sure that I became a good guy. And so
Yeah.
that's exactly what I became, a good guy,
Mm.
a nice guy, as some people
Yeah.
determine. And I had to find the other parts of me over time. And this work is sort of what helped me to do that. So I really needed to find this other side, really throwing away my masculinity for so long.
Mm.
And finally saying, hey, it's okay to be in my masculinity, and like finding the parts of me that I'd been pushing away for so long, and then feeling the nourishment of that. And I still have to say that's still an ongoing process. It's something that just I have to be aware of those old patterns and the way that they try to get me to discard parts of myself.
Yeah, same. And I think that makes you a great teacher because you're not like Mr. Perfect. None of us are. You're Mr. Relatable. You're on your own path. You're doing your work. It's okay if you're just a couple steps ahead of them. We're all in this together. So tell us what were some of the things that you started to realize being almost like reparented consciously about sacred sexuality, that about your desires. Oh, that's not bad. Or your darkness. Oh,
Yeah.
as long as I keep my heart open, all is well. Oh, actually, she likes that. Like, what were some of your big ahas that you have personally embodied and you're teaching your male clients?
You just named them. I mean, so, darkness was something that felt very scary to me. And when I say
Yeah,
dark,
like, yeah,
just
define that. Yeah,
shadow, fierceness, dominant energy, powerful energy, leadership. So, like, I think a lot of men, because they're afraid to be more dominant, they're afraid that they might hurt someone, they throw away their leadership. They
yeah,
see leadership in today's world as being toxic masculine, as being almost like the patriarchy. I'm leading. It's leading from a place of love, leading from a place that the feminine actually, desires,
yeah,
versus it being the old version of toxic masculinity where the guy says this is what goes on and doesn't even think about what the woman needs. So
right,
it's like throwing away that because of a fear of hurting someone,
right,
or, being judged for being that guy who,
right,
is whatever, machismo, or, misogynistic, that kind of stuff.
right. What do you think the key element is? Because you can say the exact, in my opinion, you can say the exact same thing, like bend over or like
Right.
wear a red dress. I'll pick whatever you want to say, like this, like a directive, a directive. You can say it with your heart closed, or you can say it with your heart open. And to a lot of people, it's not like I near, like cut my heart. Like, oh, it's an energy. It's an awareness. It's breath. It's like how, as a man, do you help yourself and other men literally get into your heart and be directive through as love, the expression of love?
I mean, again, this is my journey, and this is, I'm speaking as a student here,
Yeah.
especially around darkness and sort of fierceness in the bedroom. And I think that that ultimately, first of all, it's who you are. It's where you're coming from. So you can't just use these as like tricks. You can't just say,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to open her." You do really have to feel your heart. And because, Lana, a woman knows exactly where you are.
Yeah.
Any sensitive, aware woman is going to know exactly what you're bringing and will feel it. So,
Correct.
as you know, and as we practice, we are working with how do we bring dark energy with our heart open, and that comes through the body.
Yeah.
Can we feel the strength? So, correct me if this is wrong, but I think one of the main things that darkness offers women is feeling a man's strength,
Mm.
feeling a man's capacity, and feeling all of the man, knowing that the man is showing all the cards are on the table, right? They see your darkness, and they see that it's transmuted into something that can be playful or can be just on that edge where it's like still safe,
Yeah.
edgy, and you want to feel the passion and the excitement of that. Like, you have to be able to ride that edge, and you have to be in your heart and aware. You have to be conscious. If
Yeah.
you just go with that energy and you're not conscious, then that is where you can do harm. So
Right.
consciousness is also feeling out, who am I with? What are they feeling? What do they need in this moment? And as you know, that's the art of what we're working to discover. How do we know what love needs in the moment? And
Mm.
that's a practice. It takes time to learn that.
Totally. Where does, as we shift into sexual practice and self pleasuring or masturbation and being alone with our practice before we bring these energies to our partner, how has that shifted for you? So we talked a bit about darkness, that we want to have it heart open. What about self pleasure? Were you shamed for that? Were you ever caught growing up? Have you hidden it your whole life? Like, how has that transformed? Because I think that's one of your real passionate gifts for this world, is allowing that to be beautiful and sacred and divine.
Yeah, and of course, we all teach what we grew up sort of struggling with, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, and once I've discovered my own path through this and sort of the breakthroughs that I've had, like, I wanted to share this, that, so many men and boys feel so much shame around self-pleasure. I call it self-pleasure.
Yeah,
Masturbation has this sort of negative connotation. So I think of it as like men are going to pleasure themselves. Boys are going to pleasure themselves. Infants, young children pleasure themselves. It's normal.
totally.
But we get either as simple as, flicking the hand away,
Yep.
as more severe actual shaming and even fear tactics. I grew up thinking that if you masturbated, that you were going to have hair on your palms, you go blind. Like, there were just like urban legends and ideas
Oh,
about
wow.
what do you actually, people would just say things like that. I'm sure men from my era would agree with that. So there's
Wow.
all this training. And then there's lots of different ideas. One idea is that if you have to self-pleasure, then it means you can't get actual women. You can't have actual sex, so there's different elements that people grow up with, whether it's shaming from other boys and men, or if it's
Yeah.
shaming from authority figures. And yeah, I mean, I felt all of that, and I hid my own self-pleasure. And I, as men often do, try to move through it very quickly because I'm afraid of getting caught. And
Sure.
that trains in certain nervous system patterns. Fear and anxiety get trained in with your self-pleasure. So,
Right.
the nervous system learns everything.
Mm.
It connects everything. So if you grow up, your first sexual experiences are connected, infused with anxiety, then that's the way you learn what it is. And so when you start bringing that into early experiences with girls and women, then that's what your nervous system has to offer, is those early experiences, almost sort of like a traumatic experience of like the old stuff coming through in the present moment.
Yeah.
We perform what we learn. So,
Mm.
I think that many men, especially as they get older, and then the influence of porn, of course, is very, very significant, that as men get older, they need a nervous system retraining. because they've
Yeah.
been trained to have either fear or certain types of energies of shame, or even the energy of moving too quickly, the energy of actually, objectifying women. All of that stuff is in our culture. There's so
Yeah.
many pieces, I can't even list them all, but that's what
Yeah.
we're working on. We have to retrain the mind, and then we have to retrain the body to be able to start to make self-pleasure healthy. And that's
Yeah.
what I teach, is sort of how to make self-pleasure healthy, which it's not only okay, it's not only fine to masturbate. It can be a beautiful, healthy practice that can lead you into emotional depth. It can lead you into more pleasure than you can ever imagine. It can lead you into all kinds of energetic experiences. It can lead you into spiritual experiences. It can lead you into manifesting more in your life. It's a win, 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 win if it's done in a way that is healthy versus it being habitual in pattern based on old habits of just trying to get release, which is
Get
usually
off.
the way
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This is so great. I love how passionate you are. This is awesome. Okay, so we can go as real as you want to go, because I would really like to be super, super real with the guys watching. So there's the moment, and you want to self pleasure. Do you literally talk yourself through it? Like, I'm a good person. This isn't wrong. Do you make eye contact with the mirror? Do you have like a set schedule? Like, what does it actually look like to go, okay, there's a lot in the way, and I know it's on the other side, and I'm willing to do it, but I don't have any idea where to start?
Yes. Yeah, and I really do start right from the beginning because I understand how hard this is. The first thing is you have to make a commitment.
Mm.
I teach and I am on the path of semen retention, which basically means I am choosing when to ejaculate, and I'm not habitually ejaculating, especially at my age. I'm not ejaculating frequently. In your 20s and 30s, not a big deal. As you get into your 40s and 50s and beyond, definitely a concern to be ejaculating frequently in terms of
So,
how.
how often do you ejaculate? Can I ask?
Yes. Let's see. I once went over 200 days without ejaculating during my path, where I
Oh,
would
wow.
actually, but there was still self-pleasure.
Sure, sure.
I was
You weren't
not
not abstaining.
yeah, this is not like celibacy. This is not abstaining. This is actually a robust self-pleasure practice, it's a path that you can be on to gain abilities and skills and experiences.
Yep.
Um, but with a choice not to ejaculate. Now, I don't recommend to men that they go 200 days without ejaculating. Depending
Okay.
on your age, there are systems in the Taoist. I studied with a Taoist teacher,
Yep.
sexual kung fu, and that there are particular, systems for that. I don't need to go into all the details, but basically, as you get older, it takes a long time for the body to recoup all of the
Yep.
hormones and chemicals that it needs to, and testosterone and all of that. So
Yep.
having an ejaculation is a big deal for the body. It doesn't seem like that because we just do it kind of flippantly, but it's actually a big deal. It's a lot of energy to produce what it takes to bring, the next load to your body. So
And to rebuild it again.
yeah, build
And how
the
that,
yeah.
and doesn't that affect, and so this is really fascinating to me. So, because I've heard like on average 30 days is good, and there's like an internal ejaculation and there's all sorts of pleasure, but the actual external every month or so allows not just like, okay, so yeah, you're not going to ejaculate, but what those hormones do to your confidence, your clarity, your presence. Like there's other things that affect work or how you are with the kids, how you are with your partner, all the ability to listen, like all these kind of things I've heard are connected to ejaculating too frequently as you get older. So tell me
Yes.
the truth of all that. That's just what I've heard.
Yes, and I'll just say, the medical world and the ancient sort of Eastern traditions, there's so many different ideas about how all of this works. So I'm going to tell
Okay.
you, in my
What you,
experience and what I've studied and what I know,
yeah.
without all the sources, is that I don't think there's a rule about
Okay.
how often you do it. I think it depends on your age. It depends on your nervous system retraining that needs to
Yeah.
happen. It depends on um, I think it depends on your practice, like exactly what you're looking to accomplish. It's a learning experience.
Okay.
So what I teach men to do is don't worry about how often you ejaculate.
Okay.
Intend to have each self-pleasure session end without ejaculating.
Okay.
Don't worry about it if you do. And
Okay.
then plan it, decide, whether if they're with a partner, especially, like let that happen. Orgasm can happen without ejaculation. That's the main thing. You can have all
Yeah.
kinds of orgasmic experiences, but
Yeah.
ejaculate with your partner,
Right.
or if you're not with a partner, choose to ejaculate almost ceremonially. Like tonight, I'm going to choose to do that, and I'm not just going to do it really fast. I'm going to give myself lots of time and lots of space to open up into my pleasure and into whatever experiences. And then I'm going to make a conscious decision to do it. I think
Right.
especially when it comes to sexual performance, the issue comes when you don't have any control. You don't have the
Yeah.
ability to know and decide when you want to,
That makes total sense.
and then how to lead that with a partner. So I am teaching men how to be conscious about when they ejaculate, both for their semen retention goals as well as for the goals with their partners.
Right.
I'll just go back to the earlier question. The first
Yeah.
thing you have to be able to do is learn how to get out of your head, get off of porn,
Okay.
and as much as possible, learn the art of turn on without fantasy, which is really hard for men.
Well, if you've been raised on porn, that's all fantasy.
Yeah, yeah. And
Wow.
most of us, we get turned on because we're thinking about some particular thing.
Right.
It actually gets us in our head.
Right.
This is one of my main premises, is that sex and self-pleasure, it's like meditation. It's like
Mm.
being present. Being present is the main goal.
Mm.
It's not just what you get out of it, it's the presence. So it's like a spiritual path and a sexual path at the same time.
Love
Because
it.
that's what a partner wants anyway. You want
Totally.
presence, right? You don't, a woman especially does not want you to just be in a pattern in your head. They're going to feel that, right?
Yeah. I remember just one thing I want to say, and then please keep going. This is so great. I remember interviewing somebody several years ago, and he said, and he's been married like 15 years. I actually made love to my wife for the first time about a year ago. And I'm like,
Yes.
excuse me, were you having affairs the whole time? He goes, oh no, I was just in my head. I wasn't with her.
Yes.
And she felt it so deeply.
Yeah.
And it renewed their entire relationship. So yeah, please continue.
Yes. And I would just say that, making love can happen through eye contact.
Yes.
Need anything else. There's so many variations on how sex can go.
Yeah.
I think presence is making love. And then what happens with that, whether it's emotional making love through, allowing whatever emotions to be there, like encouraging a woman to open up into what they're feeling. It could be some sort of physical play. It could be oral sex. It could be intercourse. It could be all of it. There's so many different versions of that. And presence is the prerequisite. And so
Right.
I think that when a man learns how to self-pleasure with a lot of presence,
Yeah.
they're really doing first is they're retraining their nervous system so that when they bring that to a woman or a partner,
Yeah.
they've done it. They know what it's like to just be in their pleasure and be present at the same time,
Right.
and without needing to be in their head. Now, I'm not saying that I think fantasy is bad. I do think porn needs to go away. Like it's never going to go away, but men need to get off porn because it's never going to help them to get where they want to go sexually.
Thank you.
Meaning that if you do it once in a while, it's a huge deal. But I think that the men that I know that have been successful on this path and have opened up to 10x, 100x possibilities in their sex life, they get off of porn first and then they get on this path.
Got it.
And fantasy is fine too. And there are different ways to use fantasy so that you're not just habitually caught in your head.
Yeah.
I teach like how do you titrate fantasy so it's not like gone completely all the time, but you have the ability to be present and not have to be in fantasy in order to get turned on.
Yeah. What was it like for you, Dan, or your clients, or both, to begin self-pleasuring without using the mind, without using fantasy? Like, did it not work? Was your penis like, what are we doing? Like, like, what was it actually like? How long did it take? How did it shift? What opened up? Like, give us like the real. Yeah.
It took me, I would say it maybe took me like a couple of months before it felt like easy for me to be able to get even just an erection
Right.
without fantasy. Porn, I had given up a while ago. I mean, I did have a history of using porn a lot. I think I did have a porn addiction earlier
Uh-huh.
in life. I had given that up during this relationship that I was in.
Yeah.
But then fantasy, it's tricky because it's just always there.
Yeah.
Again, not horrible, and it's not something you have to eradicate or push away always, but just it's like a meditative practice. You get caught in your head and then you bring
Yes.
yourself back, right? You get
Yeah.
caught, bring yourself back. And it took me doing that and then learning to just feel my own body. Like
Yeah.
I realized that I was really disconnected from my body. I could
Right.
get turned on in my head, and it's almost like my erection and my fantasy, they existed like this, and the rest of
Right.
my body was just gone.
Yeah. 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 I hear you.
And instead, what I needed to do is learn how to get into my whole body, to feel the energy in my whole body, and then learn to feel the energy in my body as pleasure, and then learn to feel the pleasure, subtle pleasure,
Yeah.
feel subtle pleasure. Like men go from 0 to 100. They go like, it's like either the most intense, exciting thing, or it's like nothing. We need to find subtle pleasure
Excuse me.
in our bodies.
Yeah.
And so you have to, it's almost like getting rid of all the noise, getting out of your head, being present and quiet. It's like with meditation, like after a while, you start to feel, oh, I just heard that little thing, or I could feel that little part of my body, or, subtle
Right.
awareness.
Yeah.
Once you get subtle awareness, you can start to then feel the pleasure. And an important part of this is not worrying about success. You can't worry like, oh my God, I'm
Outcome.
getting an erection. Yeah, you have to just be in your body and be in the pleasure, and it will just happen all by itself.
Right. Because aren't there, like I've had Rahi, a dear friend, Rahi Chun, on my podcast several times, and I think he talks about 11 or maybe 13 erogenous zones, which
Yeah.
I was just like, "Phew." And then I have another, Myola Woods, she's my sexual somatic practitioner. And she's like, in my first questionnaire, she's like, how many kinds of orgasms have you had? And there was like 14 kinds. I'm like, clitoral with my vibrator? Like what?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Right? So it really, and I came up against getting bored, shaming myself,
Yeah.
wanting to give up. This is never going to work. What kind of guy is going to meet me here? He's just going to want me to arch my back, do my thing, orgasm so he feels good enough. Like, right? Like I had all this in the way. What came up for you and comes up for your clients along this path?
I mean, the first thing is it's shame
Yeah.
because I was so used to sort of like thinking of my erection and my turn on as being like some proof of who I was as a man.
Mm.
So like if I can't get an erection
Oh
anytime,
yeah.
anytime, it feels scary. It's like, oh my God, like what's happening? Like,
Right.
and what's
Right.
wrong with me? And lots of men suffer with that. And
Yeah.
and I really feel for them, and I feel for their partners too, like how hard it is when it feels like you can't, that natural sort of impulse just doesn't happen. So
Yeah.
shame, fear, and also boredom, like you said, boredom of like, oh, I'm so used to being so stimulated.
Right.
I just feel like I'm just here. And like, at first I feel much differently now, but at first it's like, I'm not turned on by my own body. If I'm not allowed to think of a woman,
Right.
then how am I going to get turned on? Like, and then, I had to learn to find my turn on in my own body.
Wow.
And that actually happened to the point when I actually started to like, yeah, I really enjoyed that. I really like this, and then
Yeah.
over time, see, sexual energy is just energy.
Yeah.
And this is my belief. A lot of men would probably not agree with this, but I'll just say that I think that ED, premature ejaculation, other sexual problems can always be solved if you deconstruct what your nervous system is doing,
That
even
makes
for a
sense.
man that's older. And, like, because a lot of times what's happening is that the nervous system has been overstimulated
Yes.
to the point, or, there's been such frequent ejaculation and habitual energy in sex and self-pleasure that there is no like ability to feel the natural sexual energy that's in the body
Yeah.
already right now.
Yeah.
I'll just go into one other concept here. Most men know the concept of morning wood. I don't know if you know the concept, Alana, but the
Well, I
concept,
have a son, so yeah, I do.
But morning wood is an erection
Mm,
that can happen anytime at night, but they call it morning wood because you might wake up and realize that you have an erection.
right,
And there's no turn on in that. It's not
right.
just a man is dreaming about sex and they happen to wake up with an erection. No, it's a natural state when the body is extremely relaxed and in a delta state of sleep. And you see this in tantric practices that actually erections are spontaneous.
Yeah,
They're driven by sexual energy and they're spontaneous. It's
yeah,
just that we are so, sort of trained by the world to be in our heads and be doing, all of that. If you are really relaxed and
yeah,
you're really present and you're really sensitive to energy and pleasure, you can get an erection. Now,
yeah,
that's my contention. I've worked with older men that are able to do it once they get away from all the other stuff and they take their time, work
yeah,
through the psychological piece of it, and just
yes,
learn to just like let it be. It's like, okay, this is the other thing. It's like self-love. It's like, it's all right. I am who I am. I have my history. I've trained myself in certain ways. It's okay. Let's just slow it down and be together with ourselves,
yeah,
enjoy and see what happens. And
yeah.
I think over time, then your body starts to respond because it's natural.
I love this. Dan, I love this. I'm remembering a boyfriend I had for a couple years, and he had quite a direct, like a Kundalini awakening. And he said the energy was so strong, it almost like he was sleeping and then woke up, threw his back against sort of like the headboard. And he was there having these downloads for almost 48 hours and a complete erection the whole time. And
Yeah.
he goes, I'd never until that moment bridged sexuality and spirituality. And that's what it is. That was so much of his downloads and so much of the shaming and the performance before and even the shaming unknowingly from women, like, what, you don't have an erection? Well, aren't I good enough? Like,
Right.
right. So there's so many factors that lead to this old patterning that communication with your partner must be also a big piece of your coaching with men as you're retraining that I'm not all about my erection. She's like, well, aren't I good enough? Like, how do you help couples navigate this as well? And the gentleman sharing and communicating, I know there's more.
Absolutely. I mean, I honesty is like key,
Yeah.
full honesty. I speak with men a lot about this. I post a lot about it, like absolute full honesty. And most men are ashamed to do that. We're not used to talking about sex.
Right.
We're not used to talking about it with men. We're not used to talking about it with our partners. We're not used to talking about it with family. And it's one of
Yeah.
my main goals in life is to make men talking about sex easy, make
Mm.
it about going deep into what's really happening versus what we tend to do, which is just like talk about it in more superficial ways, if not talking about it like sort of locker room talk and that kind of stuff.
Mm.
We need to be able to talk about it. And I
Yeah.
think the start of that is talking with other men about it. So
Yeah.
I actually have a monthly call, free call for men where they can just come and talk about sex.
Wow.
I want men to have a
Safe
place,
place.
a safe place.
Yeah.
And being able to, I think, threaten a relationship, because a lot of men don't talk about it because they're worried about threatening relationships.
Yeah.
That if they start bringing this whole thing up, it's going to bring up their shame. It's going to bring up their partner's frustration. They're going to blow things out of the water. And that's usually, it's like a stalemate. Like I can't
Yeah.
go there
Yeah.
because as soon as we start talking about it, it's going to basically blow things up.
Right.
And so but the man has to understand it better in themselves.
Yeah.
So once they can understand, okay, and especially if they're on this path, like once you're on a path of healing and you actually can trust that path, you can say to your partner, listen, I know that I've got these problems.
Mm.
And it's my side of it is that for whatever reason, psychological, physical, training, whatever, I'm having a hard time with my own sexual nervous system, my own body, my own
Yeah.
sexuality needs help. And I am committed to working on that.
Yeah.
And I would really love your help.
Mm.
Not mommy, not you're going to like take care of me. Just can we team up to create a container
Yeah.
where we can explore together, given that this is where I am, instead of the man trying to perform over it.
Right.
That's what men do. They, instead of just being honest and saying, this is where I am, they try to perform over it and they just hope it goes well. And if it doesn't, then it just pushes them apart even more.
And what I'm hearing, Dan, is this is where I am, and there's no shame in that, and I'm not wrong in that, and nothing needs to be fixed. I've done my best based on how I was raised, society, all these things, and here is where I am. That is freedom right there.
Absolutely. I mean, this is where, the truth shall set you free is really true.
Mm,
Honesty always opens things up, no matter how hard it is to do that. And usually we have that edge where it's like, oh, I just don't want to go there. And honesty. And then, like, and owning, I'm going to work on this. It's not just, hey, this is just who I am and nothing will ever change. I think
right,
that often leads to more of a stalemate because I
for
don't think
sure.
the partner ever really feels like that person's taking it seriously enough. It's kind of like, well, just accept me as I am. Well, I don't know a lot of people. I mean, I suppose there are, but not a lot of people who are okay with just having no sex in their relationship at all,
Yeah,
or having that stalemate without some pathway towards healing.
totally.
I'm owning it. Yes, this is where I
Yes.
am, and this is what I'm going to work on.
Yeah.
And let's do our best to work on it together. Maybe it
Mm,
won't work. Maybe that's just it's not a match in that way. But we have to, if this was my path, I actually ended up ending the relationship with that partner I mentioned earlier.
yeah.
This was a 7-year relationship. This is like the love of my life, and she was
Mm,
just such a beautiful person. I still love her. She's such an amazing being, but
mm,
it wasn't aligned. We
mm,
couldn't work this out. Even after I was already on this path, there wasn't a pathway for us to actually work together to,
mm,
to sort of resurrect our sex life. And so
mm.
we ended up breaking up. But this is what I would tell a man. Okay, keep doing your work
Yes.
and accept that that wasn't what it needed to be. It wasn't a failure, no shame. And it's not like, oh, I you know, I can't perform, therefore I destroyed our relationship and it's all over and I'll never find anyone. It's I'm going to be on a pathway to resurrect my sexual life with myself,
Mm,
only sexually, but also self-love, also working through my shame, all the things that might have contributed to the sexual problems. And I'm going to
mm.
bring that to my next partner.
Right.
And, I don't think there's any way that that can fail. I think you just keep moving and growing and learning and you'll get there.
Yeah. Well, that's you and I, life learners, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about as you have developed more pleasure, all the different ways of having pleasure. I've had, whatever I've had in my life. I started studying 20 years ago, learning more about dark, more heart, more dark, like practicing being aware of this. But I wasn't in my body back then. I was very performative back then. I was still, I still wasn't here. And so then it started to be with more pleasure in my body. Now I feel like I'm starting over at 55. Like I'm just getting to know my body again. I feel like I can make love to life, to the sunrise, to the sunset. It's not just a sexual act. Like there's so much more pleasure in food, in intimate conversations. Like life becomes one big sacred, yummy, penetrating the world with my expression, and being penetrated. Like it's not compartmentalized anymore. And I wish I had this way of looking at my body back when I was 20, when I did have a really nice looking ass. Like I didn't have a kid and stretch marks and all the rest of it. But it's like, I sometimes I look at myself, I go, you're quite lovely. You're quite beautiful. It's turning into a, not outside in, but inside out self-love and radiance from the inside. So that's like the female version. What's it like for you, Dan? You're obviously a handsome man, you've got great posture and you're in shape and all the rest of it. But are you more in love with who you are from this
Oh,
deep place?
yeah. I think this has been the path that's helped me to find what self-love really is.
Mm,
I've done a lot of my own work, but I realized how much of my shame was about sexuality in all the different ways. And when I could really like look working in the mirror as well, I think is a good thing. But I could actually like look myself in the mirror
mm,
and like feel whatever emotions were coming up. It's almost like, and this is what I think that women know so well. It's like sex is about everything. It's not just about a particular type of experience in your genitals.
yeah,
Sex is about everything. It's
yeah,
your whole body, it's your whole emotional life, it's your whole spiritual life. It's all of it that's right there. It's vulnerable, it's raw. And that I could start to actually meet myself in presence and face my shame that was wrapped up in sex and actually have a lot of grief and a lot of love, almost like, wow, that poor little kid, for what he went through. Not to blame anyone, just it was fucking hard. It was really hard. And then all the years of not knowing what to do about it, all the years of shame and like feeling inhibited sexually, and just so many years of like confusion and tension and feeling like a failure over and over. I mean, just like all the grief just came through me in recognizing that it wasn't my fault.
Yeah.
It is my responsibility.
Yeah.
It wasn't my fault. And that a lot of it is about learning to really love myself as I am, even with all of that. And then also learn the skills to get my shit together and like find the pleasure and find the energy and find all the orgasmic experiences. So like it's like almost like, yeah, I can love myself and I can grow, and I can love myself and I can grow. I can face my shit and I can experience amazing pleasure, and I can face my shit again, and I can, day after day, it's like an on and an off and a this and a that. It's just so nuanced. It was a journey of learning to love myself, because there are times, just, and I know men that are on this path would experience this, where I would feel like I had failed in my own self-pleasure. Well, I'm on a semen retention path, I'm not going to ejaculate tonight, and then I go over the edge, and then it's like, I screwed it up, I wasn't able to hold it, whatever. And all the fear and shame that came up from the past. And then it's like, oh, wait a second. Now's the time for self-love. Now's the time for, like, you're not fucking perfect. It's okay. Like, this is what we all need, is to like be able to be held in those moments of what we consider failure, and just, first of all, like be held in it and have it be fine, and then grow from it, learn from it. So I always say that there's only two things: either you're successful or you learn. There's no such thing as failure. Always. Yeah, just learn and grow. But the shame is what keeps you from being able to access the ability to learn when something like that happens. Once I could be like, almost like a coach to myself, like, all right, no problem. All right.
Yeah.
A football coach or something, like, all right, no, you didn't kick the field goal that time. Let's think about this,
Right.
It's that supportive part of myself that could come in and start to get developed through my own failure. That was half of the process. Like, without that,
Yeah.
you're always on eggshells going, oh, I got to make sure I perform. I hope, you can be successful. It's like people that are really successful, but are always afraid of failing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to learn to fail too. You can't just be successful all the time, or your life will be miserable. So
Yeah.
I want men not only to be able to have skill and be able to do all the things they want to do sexually, but I also want them to learn to love themselves. And so like I have a course, and in that course, one of the modules is self-love. You can't get away from your own emotional and spiritual journey.
Yeah. The first of my Atlanta Prep Method processes, I call it Little You, and it's about loving our little you who's ashamed or scared or sad or mad just as much as the one who's happy and accomplished and all the rest of it, with no agenda that this part ever changes. Like, I will love you for eternity this way. And I created this because I need to learn this, that when it doesn't go according to whatever outcome I think, and then I get on that hamster wheel to go, wait a minute, this moment is divine. This aspect of myself is just as worthy, lovable. And can this aspect be just as home in my body? And can I be with me? And then can I bring that to a relationship and not hide her, shame her, perform over her, all of that. So maybe as we could talk about this for hours, and we get to when we see each other. So it's great. But for this podcast, you are in a relationship now, right?
No, I'm not right now.
Oh, you're not right now. Have had the relationship you were in prior, you brought some of these new skills to, or these new, maybe not skills is the right word, capacities to, just to give people a flavor of what it's like to have a new experience sexually, energetically, sacredly, communicatively, all the rest of it. What is possible when you start doing this work in relationship?
I mean, I have to say that the things, once I brought it into relationship, I had two relationships since my last relationship.
Yeah.
It's the one I mentioned earlier.
Right.
And I want to honor those women too, beautiful, wonderful people. And so I'm speaking to
Absolutely.
my own experience, and but communication was first
Mm.
because it's a relationship. This isn't about how do I perform with this person. I could very easily, sort of say, oh, now I'm going to go in and perform. And the truth is as long as you're performing, you're caught in a prison, caught in a mental trap.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, it was sort of like, okay, it's one thing, I had learned all of this over the course of a number of years and my own practice. So basically the course of over like, I think probably 6 or 7 years from beginning to sort of where I was when I started these relationships. And hmm, I, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
That's all right.
I, when I was on my own, so much of it was going to be about, it was really a practice of self-love, but it's hard to get away from like, okay, it's getting better, like, hey, now I can do this. Like, oh, had my first multi-orgasmic experience. Whoa, what the fuck was that? Like, and it's
Yeah.
it's sort of like a kid going, wow, I discovered this cool thing. Like I'm able to
Yeah.
do these things, and like people talk about that stuff. And once you start experiencing full body orgasms, you're like, oh, this is really a thing. So it's like, it's all the stuff. It's like the shiny toys that you sort of discover along the path, but
Yeah.
it's not really about all of that, like it is and it isn't. Like you
Yeah.
want to be able to have lots of potential.
Yeah.
But when I got into relationship, it's like it's about the relationship, it's not just about the sex, and it's about like, in the moment, like what's really coming up for them emotionally, what's coming up for me emotionally. So communication was first. And
Yeah.
then, yes, like the ability to lead, the two of us into a variety of amazing experiences, to have all of the orgasms and all of that stuff is definitely a thing, and it was beautiful to be able to have that in my own body and then bring it to these two partners.
Mm.
Um, and I might feel like I'm downplaying it because I really don't think it's about how good you are at it. I think
Yeah.
it's really about like the honesty, being on the path, being able to learn to claim my desire, learn how to do what I need to do at whatever time. Like, one of the things is learning how to slow things down. Like you can very easily just get into this pattern of like, I'm going to try to get to this place,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, I learned to do that on my own. And then it's sort of like, can I lead the two of us to slow things down and have different types of experiences? And so, I felt like it was all really beautiful and
Yeah.
led to lots of amazing things. And without, I don't want to get into too many details to protect the women, but I do think that it became what I thought it would be, which was,
Mm.
wow, okay, yes, this was my sex life before, this is my sex life now. And it's like a pathway to exploration. Like in those relationships are relatively short, and with a partner, like with a life partner, like I really want to be able to just have it be an ongoing exploration, right?
Mm.
And
Mm.
that's the journey. It's like, can you be in a place where you can be so honest and so aware and so, have so many capacities that you can create all kinds of possibilities and leading an exploration with another person, whatever
Mm.
that happens to be. It might be spiritual. It might even get to the place like, finding someone who really wants to be on the sacred sexuality path as well, which I really
Oh,
believe that's, that I can't go back now having
yeah. Yeah.
what I have. And that is what I want. But
Mm.
but again, life is what it is, and you have to, roll with your karma and roll with what comes. And so I'm living in the mystery of that. But I will say it's like night and day,
Yeah.
100% different.
Yeah. I want to say something about that, but I want people, DeSena, DESENA.com is where you can learn more about this incredible man's work. What I'm hearing, Dan, and this is my soul's longing as well. And when I work with couples over time, if the sex life is working, the rest of the relationship tends to work. And if the sex life is not working, the rest of the relationship tends not to work. Because what we can learn, what I'm learning, and what we can learn in the way of honesty, energy, presence, truth, letting go of the outcome, vulnerability, all of these capacities, you bring that to parenting. You bring that to how do we take care of our aging parents? You bring that to talking about money. You bring that into the way you honor your physical body and work out. Like every area, it's like this energy ripples. So it's like you're making love to life all the time. There isn't this silo. And when it isn't working, I've experienced, well, I need more followers on Facebook. I need someone that wants to date me. I need more client. Like it's all this outcome driven in my business. Well, what do you mean you didn't get an A on your paper at school? Like, it's like, hello. So I think your whole life becomes sacred.
Yeah.
And it's like your whole life is a dance with Eros.
Yes.
And then makes me still kind of cry. And then you get to love yourself and your body that much and be that home inside of yourself as an everyday way of being and bring that level of authenticity, truth, and vulnerability to everyone all day long, especially a beloved to share your life with. Like, fucking sign me up. Like, that's my path as well, brother.
So well spoken. Wow. It was really beautiful. Yeah. It's sort of like, I just created a post about this because it was coming through me, maybe inspired by our time in Majorca and just sort of
Mhm.
like the sacredness of everything.
Yeah.
Like, why would sex be any different than anything else? If you really
Right.
believe that everything is sacred, how can
Right.
sex, especially sex, I think, be
Yeah.
anything less than sacred? And can we treat it and everything else in the same way? It's all a path of feeling and knowing God through our lives, and
Yeah.
um, and
Yeah.
having a great time along the way. So I'm really with you on that, and that I find that, I mean, sexual energy is very powerful too. So you have to be careful about how you wield it, and you have to be smart about it. And, it's you don't just mess around with it. You have to understand like how to work with it, but it's very powerful in the way that it can light up the rest of your life. If you,
Yeah.
especially, I think for men who are on a path of semen retention, they're cultivating that sexual energy and they're learning to move it through their bodies. They're learning to move it through their bodies and into the world. They're learning
Yeah.
to quote unquote penetrate the world with their full essence. And if
Yeah.
your energy is low, it's just not going to fucking happen. You have
Yeah.
to you have to know how to manage and build and cultivate and consolidate and also share energy,
Yeah. Yeah.
and sexual energy is no different than life energy. So when you start working with this, you start to realize, oh wow, how about ending a self-pleasure session or sex without ejaculating and feeling like you just want to go out and conquer the world, instead
Yeah.
of feeling after an ejaculation feeling depleted and like you want to go to sleep.
Right.
That's what started to happen. It's like, oh, this is way better than,
Right.
no matter, ejaculatory orgasms are like really amazing for like 10 seconds. And then pretty much, for a while you feel great because you're kind of cleared out and then you want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Typically, right? This is like feeding your sexual energy into your life constantly.
Mm.
And then not only are you doing it through actual sex and self-pleasure, but then you learn how to do it without even needing sex and self-pleasure, like just
Yeah.
cultivating that energy in your body, feeling it, like not to be, and this may sound a little grandiose, but like, women talk about being able to have an orgasm anytime. And
Mm.
I've learned how to have an orgasm anytime. Like if I want to have a full body orgasm, I could do it right now. It's just, and men don't think of it that way. Maybe it feels too feminine or whatever,
Yeah.
but it's a full body orgasm isn't just like like a biological experience. A full body orgasm is a spiritual experience of energy moving the way it's supposed to move from bottom to top through the body, and it's not even just like Kundalini. I mean, that's what it is, but like you can just feel that energy moving through your body all the time.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like huge. It can just be like, oh wow, that's pretty, yeah, okay.
Totally.
It's life-giving. It brings life into your body. So it's really learning how to move energy through your body, which is a lot of what I teach.
I love this. Okay, on Patreon, we're going to see Dan have a full body orgasm in addition to dance to our songs. And I've got a couple questions. I don't know, but you might say no by the time we get over there. But as we complete this interview, DeSena.com, and he speaks of this energy as being very potent. You have to be smart about it. And I would say, yes, be in your heart about it. And as a woman, when you're in your body and in your heart, you can sense, he might be saying all the right things and be all sexy and all of it, but you can sense whether his sexual energy is meant to be like a predator or whether it is this incredible heart open claim. So it's actually a way to feel safe in your body when you're dating as well, this cultivation of this energy. So many nuggets. I think we need to do this again, but we're going to go over to Patreon right now. Thank you all for being with us in this vulnerable, delicious, potent conversation. Thank you for being with us on Intimate Conversations.
See you next week on Intimate Conversations. Get out there and make love to life. Amazon Prime. Flamenco. I've been borrowing my teacher's fan. Okay, this, yeah. You can't just like open it. You have to do it. You have to go. Ah, see, it's kind of hard. Okay. Did you enjoy that podcast? Oh my God, isn't Dan amazing? I'm so humbled by it because the whole fantasy thing. Can you just slow down, not be in your head, not be in fantasy? Jason's on the fridge. I think on one level, this is healthy because I like to ask him, divine masculine, what should I do? He never says, you should drink more wine, stay on social media, and avoid all your responsibilities. He never says that. He's like, I think you should do your feminine practice. I think a bath would be good tonight. It's like listening to my own internal masculine, divine masculine, in the form of a very lovely man. But I was still so very humbled by what, let's go at the front, by what Dan was sharing about what it really takes to slow down and feel the body sensations and let go of the old performative or fantasy of being in our head, or for gentlemen being on porn. Not that women don't use porn as well, but he really showed me what it's going to take for me to rewire. Can we sit here? Where should we sit? It's going to take a lot for me to rewire my body, because being single for how many friggin' decades, I've really resorted to fantasizing about different partners. I mean, this is like, I can't even believe I'm saying this on the internet, but like I even have these fantasies of like these two badass angels like just coming to have their way with me. Anyways, it's not the next level. It's been fine to cope of being single for so long, but it's really time to take the wisdom that Dan is sharing with us, the work that he does with men, to get off of porn, to get out of their head, to be present in their bodies. Me as well, to be present in my body, to feel my feelings, feel my sensations, and to elicit pleasure through my breath. And like you got to go to the after the show on Patreon when he shows us a full body orgasm on Patreon, and how subtle it can be and how beautiful it can be, and these full body waves of orgasmic energy that I don't think I value when I'm in nature and feel these moments, or when I'm dancing and I feel these moments, and now when I'm bringing self-pleasure into these moments. that life is orgasmic. Like, I know this, and I have moments of embodying this, but I still feel like such a baby. I feel like I'm so new of how delicious it can be. So my encouragement is to gently, lovingly, without judgment, take an assessment and ownership of how much fantasy and mind are you using to self-pleasure, and how much is truly in your body with the sensations, with the breath, and what's possible from there when it comes to presence with your partner, presence on your next date if you're single, presence with yourself, presence with your touch, presence with life. Yeah. It's good shit. He's a great man. Please follow him. Please follow him on Instagram. Please reach out to him if you are a gentleman and in alignment with the work that he does. And know that we both work with John Wineland and Kendra Kunoff, incredible teachers. And even from there, we've studied, decades ago, I did anyways, with David Data. I've also studied with Sechan Raja and Suzanne Raja, just lots of wonderful teachers along the way who have helped us get to where we are. So do the work. It's worth it. Love yourself. Love what's possible. Let go of judgment and open to the exquisiteness that our beautiful bodies are here to provide for us. I'll see you over on Patreon, because we go deep again. Not only do we have fun dancing, a whole other story comes from the song that he chose, and his answers are friggin' delicious. And I love that I've created Patreon, a place where fans and creators are in charge, where we are creating a world where we have no one telling us what we can say and can't say, and we get to go deep, connect deep, because it's all about me listening to you and us being in this intimate relationship together. So we'll see you over on Patreon.